fourth great nation. And the question that will beg is, well, when we say we are all that we have to defend this land, are we referring to every single Nigerian, irrespective of class, nation, class, tribe, ethnicity, religion, or is it just certain Nigerians? Well, to be grateful or to be sad, how to grieve or how to navigate delicate emotions, that is the situation that several Nigerians that we would be looking at today have found themselves. This anger, or we don't even know what to feel, because you have been put in a devastating position by the same government that swore an oath to protect you and your family by reason of negligence, absolute failure, and gross irresponsibility by the people that you look up to. Today, we look at the state of Nigeria's security from the standpoint of the Al-Qadera family, who recently faced a tragedy that highlights the pressing security issues in Nigeria. My name is Chinwe Blessing, and this is VOP Roundup. On the show, we spend an hour dissecting, probing, giving you a voice to the pertinent issues that concern us as Nigerians. Well, what can be described as a bittersweet experience right now in the family of Nabiha Al-Qadria, who was sadly killed by her abductors after her parents failed to meet the deadline of a ransom payment, as the release of her 4 sisters have been confirmed. Now, on the 2nd of January 2024, while the world was celebrating entry into a brand new year, this family was plagued with uninvited guests, and the visit led to a series of unfortunate events that has scarred this family for life. One of such is the tragic death of an uncle to the late Nahiba and her siblings, who led a potential rescue of the family. And then, of course, it was followed by the gory experience of the kidnappers' camp, even the journey to the kidnappers' camp, and the passing of Nabia. Well, in an interview with Arise News, Mr. Al-Qadria narrated his horrifying experience. Let's share this experience with you.
About 7 o'clock from town, and I'm moving straight to observe my evening prayer, that is the Maghrib prayer. And thereafter, I think I sat down at the sitting room there just for me to relax. Then thereafter, I observed my Isha prayer. After observing the Isha prayer, I was not feeling too okay for me to take my dinner, so I was feeling very weak that day. I now asked my daughter to prepare a small pap for me. So thereafter, I took the pap. I couldn't even take it. So I went in straight to the bedroom. I was just relaxing, pressing my phone. I was telling my wife, I'm not strong. I don't know what is happening. Then my mood is not okay. So after some time, I doze off. So the next thing I heard around, the noise was just coming. I said, who is banging the gates? And I asked them, because my children were in their various rooms. I was like, who is banging the gates? Who is knocking? This one is not knocking, they are banging it. They said, they don't know. I stood up. And I came out. It's an uncompleted building anyway. I just fixed about 3 rooms there just for us to move in. We're moving not up to 2 months now. And so I came out. I went straight to the sitting room, the main sitting room, of which we're still working on, to check a peep from the window, and I sight one man standing by the main gate. Just from there I noticed this armed robbers then. So I haven't sight then. I've already made up my mind as well. If they have come, there's no problem. And I notified my wife, it's like they are armed robbers, so it's like they have come. So I went straight into my bedroom. My children too they've already locked up their rooms, their various rooms. I went in straight to my room, switched off the light. My wife rushed to the bedroom, we switched off the light. I picked my phone, trying to see who I called, neighbors around. My memory was like, I was confused. But along the line, when I recognized myself, I was able to pick myself up and say, let me call my brother. And I called my brother. And I said, Abdul, where are you? He said, there's problem. We are being attacked now. I'm robbers, thief, like that. Within 15 minutes, I called back. He said, bros, I'm close to you. I said, okay. So I was a bit relaxed. The guys have already sighted them by the window. They've pulled the window, they've break the glass. I knew they were in full force. There's nothing I could do that for me to like surrender myself to them. And I asked, I said, Kai, what is it that you need? Whatever you need, come in. I came out, opened the door. One got me and asked me, Inabudi. I look at him, I don't have money. But if you see anything here that is good for you, pack it at the British. You look at me, you search everywhere. I notice you are looking for money, checking some things like that, of which they pick the things that they thought probably they could go with. I was just looking at him. Coincidentally, I think there was one rope that I used inside the compound before. At the back there, he picked the rope from my room. The next thing I saw him coming out was to tie me with that rope. I knew, well, I'm the suspect. I gave up. I said, okay, let's go. He now marched me out from my room to the balcony in my room, and then my children too. They've already break the door. They've used this long jigger in my compound. They pick the jigger from my compound. They break the door. They get their entrance to my children's room, march them out like that. I saw my children, myself. I said, okay, let's go. Their intention was to lead us out of that community to the main road that goes to Veritas. So I was having the confidence that at least between that time, is that the police will come or the other security people will come that will make them to leave us and run away. When I noticed my brother was driving in, I was happy. He was the one that actually lead the police to my community. So when I sighted this guy, I said, Kai, this guy, as at that time, they had already positioned themselves again. When they said that they were coming, they didn't know what was coming, but they saw the police light on. So they knew quite all right, these guys have come for them. So on seeing that, I said, Kai, there's nothing I could do. And I tell my children, I say, relax yourself. And I said, all of us should lie down. And I tell my children, I say, just go down. Myself too, I hide myself on the floor. Just from then, 3 of them now went to, there's a building not far from the main road. It's fenced. There's a gate there. They went to that building, but 3 of them were trying to gain entrance to that building. I was seeing them using harrow and all sorts of things to break the security lights so that people will not see them from a distance. So they break all the bulbs outside, the security lights outside, trying to climb the gates inside. So it was then they start to exchange bullets. And I saw my brother that he wanted to drive further. So he didn't know that they were close to that house. So the next thing he did was for him to reverse back, which the reverse that he did, I believe they must have shot him. So the police vehicle too got stopped. So his reverse could not go back. So they were all exchanging with themselves. So after a few minutes, both of them stopped. I think the police stopped. They can't advance further. And I said, Kai, they must have injured my brother or injured the police. For the police vehicle not to advance further, meaning that they cannot withstand these guys. So thereafter they've been able to recoup themselves and get their strength that they have injured these people. They now ask us to stand up, go back to the village, take another route to get out of that place. The ransom, how came about the ransom?
Particularly the demands. Have they made any demands when they contacted you?
I was at their camp when all this ransom of a thing was coming up. You know, that night that we went through the bush, it took us like 8 hours, 30 minutes with my children. I was not wearing any slippers. I was wearing knicker, my sports wear with t-shirt like this. So, as at the time we were going inside that bush, one of them tried to make a fire. I was trying to make friends with one of them. So, Aboki, Zona Dalla. That was not trying to, in the sense, I speak Yoruba. So, I was just trying to communicate to me in Yoruba. I was like, come now. What do you need? What do you need? Don't treat me like this, please. What do you need? And I said, Lowo, you have money. But you low, but you move. Low. We're just speaking to Yoruba. I'm just speaking it. And I said, okay. I said, if it's that one, don't worry, I'll get. Yeah. So we got to one stream. It was very deep. They asked us to enter inside the water. My children, all of us, we went inside there, passed through there, climbing one hill like that. Then I said we should stop. And I sense that they started to look for firewood like that. I mean, in short, they prepared their food there that night. Maybe whether they spaghetti or something like that. Because as at that time, the asked us, myself, they asked me to kneel down. So one of them now came close to where I knelt down and asked me, bros, Nino Uku? I said, where do you want me to get 3 million? He gave me a slap. Another one came again and gave me another one. Like that. The one with his gun hit me at my back. And I said, okay, no problem. We end that talk. After they take their food, they asked us to relax for like 30 minutes. We now embark on another journey. So another journey, that's maybe second lap. So I'm getting to another. It took us about 3 hours again, if I'm not mistaken. They asked us to stay in one bush, lie us down, that we should sleep. Of course, I enjoyed the sleep. Just maybe 30 minutes later inside bush, grass like that. My children too, some of them that carry maybe their night wrapper like that. And they managed to cover me with their own that you come, let's cover you. We did that. So after 30-40 minutes, they asked us to stand up. We now begin the final lap. So the final lap, for us to get to the main camp where their camp is, where their leader is, there's a big stream and one big mountain like that to climb. So they asked me to cross with 2 guys with their rifle following me. The guy that was holding my hand, the rope was still inside. He was controlling me with the rope. So I followed him. And I look back to check my children at the bar. I said, 6 children. Where are they taking me to? I hope they are not going to kill me. Where are they taking me to? I just want more courage and asked that guy, I said, oh boy, Nibolanlo, where are you taking me to? He said, bros, Baba, don't worry now. I want to go and meet her. I said, I'm feeling cold. He now asked the guy to give me they pick one duvet for my house that night. So one of them used it to cover himself up. And I said, I'm feeling cold, I'm not okay, I'm not strong. That I'm not strong that night, I'm on medication. He now pleaded with one of his colleagues, said, you should bring that duvet for me to cover myself with. So I used that one. I was going. I didn't see my children coming. I was like, what is happening? And I said, what of my children? He said, Baba, they will come. What are you doing with my children? He said, Katabi. Just shouting on me. I said, I'm not comfortable. I want to go back. He said, no, you cannot go back. After 30 minutes, I sight my children coming up. So when I sat there, I was happy. And that's why they now assemble us again. So the guy I was telling you I tried to pick as friend was like to lecture me, bros. I'm a Bogawanisi. Just cooperate with Oga. But Oga will release you so you go and look for the ransom. I said, okay. I said, come, but I don't have money. I'm a civil servant. He said, Oga, leave that one. Go and look for the money. I said, I'm a civil servant. I just moved into that house not up to 2 months. My children, I had earlier explained to them that if they see the parlor there, nothing is there. That's just the room that we managed to enter. Not up to 2 months. We have been staying in a rental apartment for long. They asked me to go and sit down, relax, of which I did. After a few minutes, they call me that the leader wants to see me. The leader seeing me was to ask me, Zona, I've seen their stick in their hand. I knelt down in front of the leader asking me all those questions about Megidaya. I said, Lapialo. He said, do I know where I've come to? I said, I know now. Okay, soldier? I said, me, I'm not a soldier. It was just to know who I am. I said, I'm just not a civil servant. The house you see me staying there is for my brother. He just asked me to come and occupy the place, and it's not yet completed. I said, okay. One came from my back again, use his boots to hit me. And I start to negotiate. And I asked me how much can I offer. I said, I don't have money, but I can look for maybe 2 million to come and give you, maybe 3 million. That's how we started. He said, I've not talked. I should count my children. I'm talking of 2 million, 3 million. I should be very careful. Then I start, I was not saying 10 million, 5 million, 5 million. I said, where will I get the 5 million? My children, I said, Daddy, don't let them kill us. Don't let them kill us. You should be very careful.
Imagine having to hear your own children say to you, don't let them kill us. And sadly, one of those children was killed, Nabiha Al-Qadri. And that was because her parents failed to meet the deadline of a ransom payment. But then again, the release of her 4 sisters have been confirmed, and it's a bittersweet experience right now in the family. Are you to grieve your lost child, your lost sibling? Are you to be grateful that your other children are back and your family is reunited? Is the family really reunited? Is it? Well, on the 2nd of January, like I said, Nabiha was taken, 2nd of January. That's a date this family is never going to forget. The question I have to ask, as I've always asked the past few weeks, and at this point it's starting to sound really annoying to the ear, is how much is the life of an average Nigerian worth? What would it take for the government to intervene and for security to be made priority? Do we have to wait until people are crowdfunding and the government is embarrassed before they would do what is right? Wouldn't this family have felt better if they were just left alone? If they didn't have to walk over 8 hours without shoes, through the forest, through streams, climb mountains, get beat up? Wouldn't they have preferred if they were just allowed to sleep peacefully? What is the problem of Nigeria? Do people always have to die before things get done? How can it take well over 2 weeks before kidnappers are being found? Yet, we keep allocating billions of taxpayer money to security. How secure is an average Nigerian? Let's look at the security situation in Abuja, for example. It's palpable. It's palpable in the air how insecure Abuja has become. The government and security agencies have failed Nigerians, and nobody should be kidnapped. That's the situation we should find ourselves in. We shouldn't find ourselves in a situation where we're saying, oh, thank God they are being kidnapped. The wife of the first lady of Nigeria, Remi Tinubu issued a statement today to say we should thank God that they've been released. More prayers should be made. More Nigerians should gather and make more prayers for security, for the security situation in the country. And we begin to wonder, the most secure parts of the world, the most prayerful parts of the world, are we? If we are going to depend on prayers, why do we have security agencies? Well, to deal with this, to answer these questions, to analyze this situation, we do have in the house Prince Kevin Fineface. He's a security and energy consultant and a public good advocate with Max Secure Technology. Thank you very much for joining us in the house this evening, sir.
My pleasure. Good evening. Happy New Year once more. It's a sad thing listening to that. I'm actually really down with. I just don't know what to say. Like you asked, should we continue to pray while we're paying the much we're paying to security agencies? I would flip that question. Are they really being paid so well that they're not securing us this bad?
I mean, now that you've started on that note, I was going to go there later, but let's start there. Nigeria has spent lots of money securing hardware, drones that we see falling from the sky. Would we say the problem is, 12% of the budget is going to security, right? Would we say the problem is lack of funds or lack of infrastructure or just the wrong priorities?
I think the challenge the country is faced with is failure of leadership. Security is a condition that is achieved when certain things are put in place. And for such, it's basically require a concentric measure, which means not just only you employing people, not just buying the so-called equipment. There needs to be an enabling environment where officers and men need to operate from. There has to be a situation where these people live the kind of things they require, the kind of intelligence they need to gather. If you put all those measures in place, then you also now have the infrastructural aspect, which means the state needs to be able to create the environment where if you drive around Abuja, for instance, most part of Abuja is dark on the road. That is a veritable ground for crime to take place. If you don't have the right energy mix put in place, you give room for that. You notice what they said, they trekked for 8 hours. Nobody saw them. Nobody in the bush path get to see them. They knew the bush path, they walked through the bush path in darkness. So it means that if we had some kind of, crime control through environmental design, which means the lighting system, the community preparedness and awareness, if all of those put together, they would have been able to at least see something, say something. So you now also have the other aspect of security, which is oftentimes mostly ignored by the country. It's only until things happen that we get to begin to have this five-brigade approach. So if you put all those measures, then you can have real security. But the state we are in currently is that because there's a failure of leadership, it also affects our procurement system. In the last 5 years, there's been an increment in defense budgetary provisions, but poor implementation of that budget provision. The question I want to ask is that how much of the money that has been budgeted for has been released in 100%? And of that has been released, how much of that money has been truly been monitored to ensure what was appropriated for and cash release for has been bought as expected? How much of this equipment that has been bought has been properly maintained? How many of this equipment that have been bought, personnel have been trained to utilize? I'll give you an instance. About 7 to 8 years ago, thereabout, if I'm not mistaken, plus minus about 6 years, let me put it that way. There was a technology that was brought into the country. It's called the basketer technology. It helps to X-ray any building, any vehicle. So if the X-ray is passed through this location now, they'll get to see people that are inside this building. Nigeria has that kind of technology. Has it been utilized for patrol and monitoring? The question is that just for the purpose. I see the vehicle park not even used anymore. So there's a problem with that. So it means we just wake up one day, buy equipment that we're never really prepared for. Because for you to do things like that, you need to be able to have a security template. Nigeria as a country is supposed to have a national security template that would have been broken down to the least person to understand what role you're supposed to play, even as an oil personality. What role the nursery school person is supposed to play. There's a type of role everybody must play to bring about the concentric measure that is expected. But our national security template, which was during the time of the last before Dasuki, we had one who came up with the national security template. It was, televised. Even the last NSA came up with its own national security template. But as we speak, we don't have the document as a working document that has been, ratified by the states to utilize. Now, if you don't have that, how do you expect to have the best of security architecture you want to see? It's not possible. So the state with which we're in is not about budgetary provision, it's about leadership failure. Because everything starts and ends with leadership. If leadership is right, then the right supervision will take place. It means everybody will sit up. But because leadership is not right, we're having that, trickle down to the last person. And today we have what we're having. And don't forget, what we are currently having is commercialized crime. It is what is going on. So it simply means the stakeholders in this commercialized crime also involve part of the security agencies. Some of their personnel, the officers and men in those agencies are culpable, are complicit. Because we've seen them being arrested in some cases, tried. We've seen some of them selling weapons, some of these criminals. Then you also have the political class that also fund this crime and benefit from this crime. Then you now have the ordinary citizens who are basically trying to also survive through that window, but also in a very selfish route. Today we heard the minister had had the approval, the FCT minister had got approval from the president to buy equipment. That's a fire brigade approach. And you know what it tells me? It tells me that you create the problem to solve the problem. That's what it simply means. It means that why are you waiting until you have this crisis before you're going to buy this equipment? It simply means you created the problem, so you come up with a solution. So there's a complicity from the political class, the security agencies, then the other people that you have. Then you also have the family value system that's been eroded because people don't have that culture to want to go through process, live a life of contentment. They want to be able to make it big as quick as possible. You notice what happened with what the man said when he got to meet the big guy. What can you offer? He mentioned 3 minutes. You're not serious. It's big business.
Now, the spokesperson of the Nigerian army yesterday said something during an interview. He said that former spokesperson, rather, Brigadier General Usman.
Okay.
He said that one of the reasons why kidnapping is booming in Nigeria is because criminals take advantage of the gullibility of Nigerians when it comes to ransoms. The moment their family members are taken, they're in a hurry to pay ransoms. Would you say that is a fair statement to make? Considering, what other options do Nigerians actually have?
Well,
if you look at, let me put premise on that. If you look at the situation with this family that we just finished speaking about, we listened to the words of the father of Nahiba, and he said his brother was leading the police. When they got stuck, the kidnappers took another route. What stopped the police officers from taking another route, from finding out the other route to take and going to find them? But they got stuck and then they stopped there, as far as we know. Is it fair to say, well, it's the gullibility of Nigerians that put them in that situation?
It's a very unfair statement to make. Obviously, because it's not a victim, his family members have not been kidnapped. Himself has not been kidnapped, because if himself has been kidnapped, he'll be one of the first person to ask his family members to do everything possible to release the cash they need. Now, of course, sometimes by principle you want to not finance, ransom, because that's like encouraging the business to continue. But when you are helpless and you don't have any other option, like you just mentioned, this family, no other option, you want to just get out of this situation. You have 5 kids in the hands of these criminals, and they're trying to kill them. Will you say, I'm not going to pay ransom and allow all of them to be killed? Yeah, to what benefit would that be? What proof would it make? That you did not pay, they kill all the kids, they killed you inclusive. How would that change any situation? That's the question that nobody is actually asking. Now, if for him to make that kind of statement, as a former, I respect him a lot, as a former serviceman that have served this country, I think in fairness, he wouldn't have just used the blanket statement gullibility. He would have also indicated the capability of the agencies of government. That it was also because the Nigerian security architecture had failed the Nigerians that they've resorted to paying ransom to free themselves. Don't forget, like I said, it's a commercialized crime, right? You notice that even those who have not been kidnapped fake their kidnaps to collect money from family members because they've seen that this is a veritable business. It's a quick call. If somebody invests 10 million in a business, in less than 24 hours to 48 hours, he's recouping his money. A few years back, we saw the young chap who around life camp, going about kidnapping people, and living a lifestyle until he was caught in Bayelsa. He goes to Bayelsa to operate. He lives in Abuja here as a big boy, right? So we have them. If we put our right architecture, this is very easy to see. Crime is not something that's difficult to contain. Crime is like sugar to hands. If you display sugar anywhere, ants will come gathering. Anywhere. So what are we doing to deny the hands to come gather around the sugar? It's easy. Put the sugar in a jar and lock it up and keep the surrounding clean. So if we have the right environment, you have the lights in our environment, you have the water flowing, people are gainfully employed and engaged, productively so. You have, the family system, living in that contentment. You have those who work for these agencies. We're taking care of their welfare is taken care of. Remuneration is good. You have people who work as civil servants that the government provides. The schools for the alternative window, that the public schools are functional. The primary health system is functional. The road infrastructure is functional. And public transport system is functional. You do not expect, okay, look at it. Since the removal of subsidy, 29 to 30%, right? But the government will tell you it's about 29.7%. But the average man on the street knows that it's about 45%. Bread that was bought before the election for less than 1,000 naira is more than 1,000 naira now. About 40% increase of the price of a loaf of bread. That is the reality Nigerians are faced with. So you tell me, someone who works in government that earns the same salary he used to earn in the past, but lives in the reality that he has to spend more money to go to work, that his pay is not enough to take care of his transportation. He will find alternative means, because the average, not the average man, human beings are designed to survive. And so what happens is that the moment your source of livelihood is affected, your survival instinct kicks in. And so what it simply means, you do not follow protocol any longer. And so Nigeria is currently in that state of nature where life is what? Short and very brutish. So you see people doing what they want to do to survive. It's not an excuse, but you see, when it gets to the stage where you don't have the moral bearings any longer, you don't have any other means any longer, you want to find alternative means to survive. And some people take this window, which is not a good excuse. There are other people have seen the window of potentiality that comes with kidnapping. So what do? They finance it. They make sure that they get the weapons for these guys to go to the crime. They also make sure that they have the location to get it in. Now they know that buildings are being monitored these days. So what do? They find the bush paths. So if they have successful bush paths, why have those farmers not been able to speak in those places? Because the farmers too are seeing benefits. They have commercial interest. So there's a value chain, that comes with this kidnapping thing. We need to tackle it from the roots so as to be able to get the right thing. And if we go up to the solution problem, I'll be able to give my own solutions as to be able to tackle that.
I was going into that. Now let's start with the political solutions. Now, beyond the military responses, there is a call for political solutions to address the root causes of these insecurities, right? What political measures do you think can contribute to a long-term, not short-term, because this is becoming a very serious problem, to a long-term solution that would ensure the safety of citizens and prevent these kind of incidents from happening in the future? Because we're still being bedeviled by it, even as we speak.
Okay, simple. The first thing first, very unorthodox approach that I want to give is all uh, bodyguards, orderlies, police attached to politicians should be withdrawn.
I mean, I'm smiling because what are the odds that they would agree to do that? I think I see where
You
you're
said
coming
political.
from.
I'm giving you a political solution now.
Yes.
Because if we're all vulnerable, then we can all gather to do the right thing. Some are privileged. So it's difficult for the man who lives in the skyscraper to get to appreciate the sun that hits the man that is working on the sun. Right in the sun, rather. So withdraw all hotlies, all police, all security attached to these politicians. First and first. The second political solution is simply the fact that when budgets is being appropriated, funds responsible, there should be right cash backing. So, but before you begin to do your budget appropriation, you want to try as much as possible to do the right enterprise security analysis. What are the threats? What are the mitigating windows we have to be able to profile these solutions? Then you bring all that together before you dance. You know what happens when the terrorism people, the so-called Boko Haram, started bombing Abuja? They had to bring all they activated the emergency procurement window. They started buying bollards. They started blocking the roads. You know, you can't. They use one way. They started buying equipment. Have you ever taken your time to go to some of these offices when they bought those things and see if those things are functional? No. Some places you just have debris already built up in a blocked passageway. The equipment they bought, those bullets that goes up and automatic bullets that goes up are no longer functional. Why? Because they were not planned for. They were under emergency purchasing because of the procurement corruption that comes with it. The corruption that goes with that procurement makes them to just start buying things that they did not even plan for. So they find some guys, okay, come and supply this to us, and they supply and they share the money and everybody goes home. That's another political thing we need to handle. The other political aspect we have to look at is the fact that as a country, the citizens need to take ownership of the political processes. We need to understand that the voters card is the most powerful tool in a democracy. As such, cannot leave your elections in the hands of a few. Every eligible Nigerian should be actively involved in the political processes. Either you become a political member of a political party of your choice, or a civil society group of your choice, or you become a pressure group to ensure that there's accountability. Because when you have the right people put in place, you can ask right questions. As we speak, those in National Assembly, we can't even ask them questions because they are not representing us, and there's no connectivity. By right, the senators representing FCTs are supposed to be called upon and say, look, if you don't give us a solution, we'll withdraw you. So we do a recall. By right, the president, as we speak, is supposed to have been called to National Assembly to be asked questions, tell us why we're having these issues. But the president has not been invited. We have deaths in Plateau, deaths in Kaduna, deaths in Benue, deaths in the east.
Katsina
deaths
this evening.
Now, Katsina this evening. The president has not even made any statement. The National Assembly have not invited him to come and explain to us. He's the commander-in-chief.
You mentioned statements real quick. I apologize for cutting you short. We've had statements on statements on statements being released after attacks. We've seen situations where, I'm just saying, we've seen situations where after this recent attack, this kidnapping that happened in Buari here, the president had not gone to visit till today, had not stepped foot in Buari Local Government Council, and he was able to attend what's it called now? Imo State's the swearing in the inauguration of Hope Uzodimma. The body language of the government towards insecurity, would we say that it is lax? Would we say that their body language is encouraging these kidnappers and these perpetrators of violence?
And I told you that it's commercialized crime. So if it's commercialized crime, you don't want to spoil the business of your partner. Let me put it that way. So when the government is not as active as expected to protect life and citizens of the country, it shows, using the words of Abacha, that if you see security staying longer than supposed, it means that the hands of the government is involved inside of it. Now, if the government is not showing any move, the question I want to ask, don't they have capacity? How is it that non-state actors are more powerful than state actors? It tells you something. It tells you that the state actors, some persons as state actors, are complicit. So when crime takes place, they give the criminals the path to follow to avoid, the investigation. I mean, we've seen it happen several times. I lost a colleague of mine, a former colleague of mine, and that embassy death that took place at Kidnap, it's almost something officers are men from police and the DSS. Now, what did happen? Somebody from the system told the guys that they were coming, and they ambushed them and they killed them. Nothing has happened to, at least to show the president. I mean, if it was the military, that whole community would have been, down. But that's not what we encourage. But the point I'm trying to make is that you see that the sabotage is always from the inside. So if you see that crime is not being abated, there's a possibility that is that there's no capacity for those who have the responsibility to, or that they are complicit, or a member or some members of these agencies are complicit. Then if the political class have interest in the crime that is going on, it means it cannot be abated. Do you understand? I mean, you've seen cases in the eastern region where we've seen from report. Now, another question you need to also understand is that the government have the capacity, because the government monitors your phone calls. They know everything, every conversation you make. Government has the capacity to get to know, to decipher communication. Why are they not utilizing it to combat crime? Why is it only for political reasons? Because we've seen how politicians have utilized such window. The fact the current minister of FCT in Rivers State has some similar kind of solution deployed there. They use it to listen to political conversations and pick people they want to pick up and deal with them accordingly. So if they have that capacity, what I don't say, it just tells you something, that the lack of governmental will to show might in containing this insecurity tells you complicity of some of those government officials that are in key position that are stopping this thing to take place. We're supposed to by now. Do you know what it means that your family member is kidnapped? They tell you, go and find something and give to them, because one, the police don't even have the vehicle. You said something here, why didn't the police look for another route to go? Have you asked to know if their life is properly insured? If they don't have, they have just one life. Those men have one life.
Doesn't that bring us to one of the major problems we have?
Which is?
The people that we trust to safeguard our lives. If you listen to the interview, this man said when he saw the police, he felt relief.
But
now imagine seeing my help has come, and then at the end of the day, Ogoro jump, there's nothing done. You're left every man for himself, right? Where do we put the blame? Because someone has to be held responsible for that. Is that not negligence?
let me use the last president's words, top to bottom. Is it what I said? Top to bottom, all right? Is it bottom to up? It's top to bottom. Let me use the Buhari statement, top to bottom. It's a leadership problem. Over the years, Nigeria has not truly had leaders that truly leads this country. Over the years, what we've had were what I call misfit opportunists in positions of authority. Misfit opportunists in positions of authority. So they don't have the capacity to give us what we truly need as a country. So they do the trial and error thing. And that's why you see the 5 brigade approach in all security architecture designs. We have a city, for instance, FCT, and billions to trillion now running through different budgetary provisions. There was a period that the FCT an award was given for CCTV coverage. I'm sure you're aware. Have you asked to know the current state of that?
Now, when you drive around the city, you see some of the cameras still hanging, but
just nothing inside, right? Not functional. The lighting system in the city center, what happens to it? I was robbed, stabbed 4 places. Mabushi by Nnamdi Azikiwe, the flyover, left to die around after 8 p.m. to 9. And the police couldn't even come to my rescue. When I called the police number that I had, emergency number, I was told I called the wrong emergency number. And I told them where I was, my state. no passerby wants to stop because it was dead in the night. There was no light. The fear was that I could just be one person was faking.
Yeah.
And so they just come closer, they zoom off. I was bleeding. In FCT. 4 places. See my back, left to die. You know, but thank God I survived it. And I'm giving this story because I have a personal experience as to tell you what the absence of light does. How can you have a city, the federal capital as we have, there are no lights on the streets? Now that is a good ground for crime to continue. If you're driving in the city center once it's after 9 p.m., please don't stop at certain traffic lights and wait, because you might just be robbed or be killed. Because before you know what's happening, somebody just haul a stone your car, break your glass, and try to want to get you robbed. It has been happening at Gaines Village by roundabout. Gaines Village roundabout junction is happening oftentimes. You have it close to this the High Court area. I'm giving names. You have it by the mosque area, you know, the Central Park area. You just need to avoid those places because these are places that these things that happen. And these are the same places you find policemen mounting roadblocks to do their so-called happy weekends under the guise of checks. Why are they doing that? If they're having enough remuneration and welfare, they would have been able to improve, because then you can fire them properly. Now, we need to also take care of our recruitment processes. They recruit men into the security agencies that are truly not qualified to be there. Because before you do recruitment, you want to be able to do your profiling. You have to do your personality profile to be sure this man has the capacity to be in that environment. Not everybody is qualified to work in a security agency. There has to be a personality type that must be qualified to do that job. 2, you do quota system. So you bring in people who have no business in this environment because you want to fill your quota system. And so they get in there. Some of them are not properly vetted. They are criminals, which we've seen. A former DIG has come up here to say some of those in National Assembly were criminals he arrested while he was the police. And he saw them there as politicians. You also have the same thing in the security agencies. They are not well vetted before they are being employed. Nigeria, as we speak, do not have a clearly authentic national data. You see, because when you have a good national data, a clear national data, what it simply means that you can easily know who is who and know how to manage everybody. And it's possible to do that, but why are they not doing it? Because we have a country that looks like the conqueror and the conquerors. And so we don't have a true country that represents us as a country, a nationhood. So you have a lopsided data system. The BVN generates data for us. NIMC generates data for us. You have the telecoms agencies generating data for us. But all of these people, there's no way they've synergized this thing together. They've not done it. So what are we doing to address our data situation? The answer is nothing, because of the lopsided bonding we have as a country that we call Nigeria.
Thank you so much, Prince Fineface, for sharing your valuable insights on the state of Nigeria's security. As we wrap up the show, just as we bring the show to a close, what message do you have for our listeners regarding personal safety? I know you've touched on, some things here and there, but what specific message do you have for our listeners regarding personal safety and the collective responsibility in building a more secure Nigeria?
I think we'll go to what they did in the West, the Wild West thing. If everybody, the Nigerian Constitution empowers you to protect yourself. So do not wait for the government to protect yourself. Anything you can hold on to as a means, in as much as it's not illegal, to protect yourself and your family. Secondly, good neighborliness. Know your neighbors. Let's stop this isolatory living that we do, which was the big manism, in quotes, excuse my French, that we tend to do. You don't know your neighbor on the left, on the right. People just walk in, go out, don't care. You don't go for estate meetings that covers your own, because you know you have your CCTV, you have your dogs, maybe you have your guards, you feel you don't need others. Let's focus on good neighborliness. The third thing I need to do is that personal security requires you to understand simple drills that need to be done. don't go out when you're not supposed to go out. I know the time you're supposed to be going out. If the roads don't have lights, please stay at home when you don't need to go around after 9 p.m. You know, because one, we're understaffed security-wise. We're understaffed. Two, the people who are staffed are not well remunerated. So there's a chance for them to always sell their weapons or be part of the criminals. Well, because we've seen that happen. Almost all the security agencies, staff, officers and men have been involved in one crime or the other, either in armed robbery or extortion or one thing or the other. They've been involved. So if that's the situation, it simply tells you that it's a poor remuneration system that we have. It's a sorry state that a councillor in this country with a school cert earns much more than an inspector of the Nigerian police. That is a travesty. It's something that needs to be changed. We need to be able to have a unified wage system. The man who works in the NNPC should not earn more than the man who works as a security agent in this country. The security is paramount. Without security, NNPC man cannot have comfort in his home. The businessman cannot have comfort. So the security agents should be paid as much as they pay the politicians. That is one of the best ways to get the right people. We simply means if you start paying them well, you do the right recruitment. You will not be carrying people that don't know what to do or left from right. You get the right people to be employed. And so when you get the right people to employ, it's not easy to operate to deploy the referee system, yellow card and the red card system. So once they default, the first one the next time is what? They go, they sack them. If people know they're going to be sacked and they're earning more, what happens? They do well. That's why the constable in the US and the UK earns so well, and they fight graduate ghosts for this job because they earn so well. But you don't find that here in this country. It's a riffraff that it goes to do, and that's why politicians don't value them. Now, politicians have retinue of security guards, armed and unarmed, in his possession. Some have 20. That's what I said. They say withdraw them. See, if you withdraw those security agents from them, you'll be shocked how security situation will be better in this country.
Thank you very much, Prince Kelvin Fineface, security and energy consultant, also a public good advocate. Thank you so much for joining us on the program today. Thank you for shedding light on these critical issues surrounding Nigeria's security. And to our listener, the Al-Qaeda family tragedy is a reminder of the urgent need for comprehensive solutions in the security sector in the country. To the government of Nigeria and our security agencies, you have failed the people of Nigeria. You have failed the people that were kidnapped in Sagaya Estate, the 10 people kidnapped there. You failed the people in the Army Estate that were in the news and were being abducted. You have failed the over 200 persons that were recently killed in Jos Plateau State. You have failed the young girl who lost her life because her father had to go look for ransom and couldn't put it together. And these are only but a few people that you swore to protect and just didn't. I'm also going to include the 31 villagers that were kidnapped just this evening in Nagule village of Basari local government in Katsina state. You have failed the very people that put you in office, the very people that you swore to protect. It is left to you to decide what you want to do. We've never seen kidnapping on the rise as much as this in the FCT. It tells you something. Let's hope that you get up and do something as soon as possible before we lose more lives and the situation goes out of hand. And to the citizens of Nigeria, what I do have to say to you in closing today is, now when it's still daytime, now then they take fine black goats. It's teaching time, according to the white man, saves 9. Be vigilant. We are the ones that live in these places that are being bedeviled by this terrible tragedy. No one is going to save you. Save yourself. Be vigilant. Do what you can. Watch out. Like I said the other day, you can't sit in your house or in your community behind your fence and not know when strange people in mass are coming into your community. Ask the right questions. Raise the right concerns. This is Voice of the People, 96.1 FM Abuja. My name is Chinwe Blessing. Thank you for joining VOP Roundup today. Good evening.
just another radio on your dial. This is
Voice of the People, 96.1 FM, Abuja.
Have you ever wondered if your opinion matters? Do you know that your voice can change the narrative? Your voice matters. Lend your voice today. Become a part of our family on Voice of the People 96.1 FM Abuja. Voice of the People 96.1 FM Abuja. Now you have a voice.